In this video, I'm going to show you different ways you can arrange the 5 Ninjago City sets. But first, some introductions. The first 2 sets in the series are based off of the Ninjago movie. This is the original Ninjago City modular set. It's a corner modular and sits on one base plate. Here we've got the docks sitting on 1.5 base plates and is a straight modular. Ninjago City was released in 2017, docks in 2018, then we would get the City Gardens next in 2021. It's based off of Ninjago Legacy, and it sits on a base plate and a half as well, and is a corner modular, where Zane's Memorial is its own removable section that you can swap around to either side. Next up is City Markets from 2023. It's the largest footprint of any of these city sets, sitting on 2 base plates. And now we've got the Ninjago City Workshops, a corner modular sitting on 1 base plate. By the way, the most recent 2 sets are from Dragons Rising. So let's recap. Corner, straight, corner, straight, corner. 3 corners, but only 2 straights. So the arrangement will most likely be a loop or L-shaped. The configurations I'm going to be testing out have got to make sense to me. They've got to be officially pinned together with sidewalks, walkways lining up, waterways lining up. So I'm not going to test out every configuration, just the ones that make the most sense to me. Having all 5 sets together, I've observed a difference between the 2 newest ones and the 3 oldest. So just take a look at Gardens, how the walkways come out to this corner here, and everything's built out towards the front. The open area is in the back. Same with City. Everything's built out towards the front. Going around to the back, we've got this open area, water flowing through. A lot more water back here in this cutout. Docks, we've got a lot of open space in the back as well. That's where the waterways are. Sidewalks, walkways mostly up front. There's gardens from the back, water in the back, this big cutout. However, when we go over to markets and workshops, there's not a lot of water in the back, but rather in the front. And that's where we have these large cutouts. So they're a little bit unique from the other 3. This will be the one and only time I show you a straight layout of all 5 sets together. Let's say you just don't have any depth to work with. You're putting these up on a shelf. Well, I'd suggest putting the big sets on the ends, such as City and Gardens, because it makes things look balanced that way. And also, those sets overhang the base plates, so it's kind of hard to put other buildings up next to it. So the way I've got things right now, I've got a corner, straight, corner. That's our new workshops. Straight, corner. I'm interested to see if workshops can somehow work as a straight, but I just don't see how. We've got the walkway, the elevated walkway ending right here from docks, and the one from workshops back here is going off in this direction because it's a corner. And yeah, you can pin it together. There is a hole right there in workshops base that would attach to docks right there. Just one pin on that side. And these 2 next to one another seems fitting. It seems like industrial, how you'd have maybe small boats or cargo ships pulling up to the docks to unload cargo. Over here, you've got laborers building a mech. It just seems fitting to have these 2 together. And this is actually not a bad look back here. On the other side, we've got workshops next to markets. And obviously, they're going to work well with one another because these are the latest 2 modulars. You can see the cutout in the waterway, just seamless connection here. Here's a look at it from the other side. I've got markets now on the left, workshops on the right. Probably could close that gap a little bit if I pinned the top together. But I like this little cozy entrance to Zane's apartment, how it's offset and down this staircase. I think that's a cool touch. Now, down here, I did mod this roof so that it wouldn't interfere with city, maybe even docks. There was an issue with the connection. During my last arrangement video a couple years ago, I did that mod. Before taking that straight layout apart, here's a bird's eye view of it. It's 7 base plates in length. I'm going to move workshops over to the left of markets to see how that works. But first, if you're not familiar with how you access the upper levels of workshops, it's a little bit tricky. You go up this sketchy ladder here, somehow climb yourself onto that platform, go through this area, jump up, climb onto that ladder, crawl through this little space here, and then you can go up to this shop. If you wanted to access the crane, you continue around the building there, and on the other side is this ladder. Totally safe ladder. Or if you connect it to other modular buildings, hopefully you'll have a safer way to get up, like taking this guy. Would not recommend you hang on to the bottom though. There we go. This makes a lot more sense to ride the incline up here and then safely walk up these stairs to this store. I think this arrangement looks good as well. The crane's going to add another variable, by the way, for placement of a modular next to it, because it's got some reach. So let's use that to factor in what goes... oh, it caught onto that ski pole. So maybe docks... Whoops. Okay, it doesn't extend that far. There we go. Maybe docks next to it would make sense if the crane could reach down to the water, but I don't think it can reach down quite that low. Now, looking down on ground level, this works really well. I like this little alleyway that the two sets create. However, there was a railing right here, and I have no idea why there was. It blocked access to go down this alleyway, and I removed it and created some stairs. This is the market set. This over here is workshops. But it just works so much better with that railing removed. To access the back of this restaurant right here, that's the front. But also, it works for accessing the front of this restaurant. Actually, this place serves noodles, as indicated by the sign, and this is a bakery, so they're not competing with one another. Seems like this knob is in the worst possible place it could be. That's to open and close this walkway to allow the incline to go through. But once you put workshops next to markets, you don't have access to that anymore. You can still turn this. This is actually my modified design, very simple mod to make it go much quicker and easier. Still have access to this crane right here. Nothing fancy, but it works from the backside. Workshops always has markets to fall back on, but let's see how it pairs up with the others. Here's gardens to the left. So basically we have 2 corners back to back. And I think things look pretty good, look interesting. Everything makes sense lining up. I like this little passage, by the way. How you go through this little tunnel. That's pretty cool. Now, gardens has the same problem as workshops. I mean, accessing the upper levels. Well, you can potentially access it here, climbing up that sketchy path of ladders. But over here, there's no way to get up to this upper level without having to rely on a different set for elevator access or whatnot. Now back here, I like this look. Everything is open. It looks pretty good. The crane does have access back here, but it doesn't stretch down to the water unless you add some more length to the string. I like all the different colored masonry bricks used in workshops, such as this spring green, olive green, I think this is dark orange, and the sand blue. So quite a variety of masonry bricks throughout. There is this light fixture that gets pushed to the side on gardens. So let's slide in Zane's Memorial. So it'll just go right there. And yeah, that creates a bigger open to space. This looks pretty good to me, and it does seem like it fits in with the same vegetation that's growing in the water back here. Now let's take a look from the front. Maybe not as good, especially with the gap right here. You almost need to create a bridge. If you're familiar with gardens, it has this removable balcony. Gotta remove this tile right here. Then it's just connected by pins. So you could potentially put it over here as like an end. And that's how that would look. Now let's move workshops to the other side. So the lower balcony is out of the way. However, that upper balcony needs to be removed too, which it's on pins, but if you remove it, there's nowhere else to place it. So you just got to put it off to the side. And even at that, once you butt these up together, there's no access for that door anymore. So let's put Zane's Memorial in between these. Again, there's a nice big open space there on ground level. Just still not sure about the abrupt ending to this platform. Here's the newest one with the oldest one. There's 8 years difference between Ninjago City and workshops, but you couldn't tell that because it looks seamless. You can barely tell where one set ends and the other one begins. Here's a look at the backside of that same configuration. City's got that elevator, so there's no problem accessing the different levels over here as well. Yeah, totally safe. You can definitely put a wheelchair on there and get around. This crane reaching to the back side of this waterway makes sense to me. I like the flow of the water taking a turn right here. It's not perfect how it transitions, but I think it's okay. I now have the modulars reversed. And by the way, the two oldest sets, City and Docks, have a different color of tiling. It's a different color of blue, an older part ID than the three newest ones. Other than that, everything blends in pretty well, like the look from back here. Looks like a pretty good match in the front as well. And finally, here's workshops with docks. There's a bit of an issue with the roof interfering here, so I couldn't put them up next to one another. So I guess you have to remove some of those plates to make it work. Otherwise, I think it would look good. And this side would look good too. It makes sense. But since we got that problem, let's switch them up. I not only switched those two around, but threw City back into the mix. And all three of these come together really well. Again, except for the color of the tiling, it's a little bit off. But that's just something we got to deal with. When you order tiles from Lego.com, you're going to get this color, not the old one. But aside from the color of the tiling, man, I like this. There's a continuation of sidewalk on ground level. It's really seamless. You can't tell where one set ends and another one begins. And then same up here. You go up these stairs, past the arcade, past these places, Zane's apartment, the comic book store, and just everything flows well. At the end of the day, city has docks, docks has city. They were designed to be together, 1 year apart, by the way. Gardens has markets. Markets has any of the corners. It works well with any of the corners on each side, flanking it. Workshops feels safe with markets, but can venture off really well with city and docks. So I'm going to expand upon these three and see where that takes me. Keeping those three together, docks, workshops, and city, I've now added markets to the left of city and then gardens to the left of it to create this loop. Though it's not a complete loop because we only have 3 corners. So over here on this side, we just have an awkward ending with Zane's Memorial. I mean, you could put this over here, maybe. It looks pretty good, but we are missing 1 modular. It just feels a little bit incomplete. And then, though it looks good through here, the docks just make it inaccessible for her boats to get through. So you definitely need some custom water work in between to make enough space. Aside from the cluttered waterway, you can actually make it from one end all the way to the other without interruption. So everything's connected really well on both the ground level and the upper level. We've got the elevator access right here and this lift access right here. Those are the 2 official ways to get up to that upper level. And things really make sense this way. By simply moving docks from the right of workshops to the left, well, that opened up a tremendous amount of space. So much space that you don't even know what to do with it. It's begging for custom work or more Ninjago City sets. And this footprint is not ideal to fit on tables. It's getting quite big. But this is how I had my arrangement in my Ninjago City. This was my preferred arrangement 2 years ago when incorporating markets. And I think workshops looks really good next to docks here, though I did have to remove this plate, or these couple of plates from the roof on docks to make that happen. But I just really think it works well next to docks. Here's that same layout, but from the other side. And from this side, it looks really complete. It's funny that all of the corner modulars have the tallest buildings. So much height difference between these two and docks. But I kind of like that height difference and kind of the separation that docks provides. Corner, straight corner. And it's similar on this side with corner, straight corner, with markets being a little bit lower. I moved workshops over there to make things symmetrical, make a U, and then you just fill up this area with some custom work or the Destiny's Bounty or something like that. This would look pretty good too. And you can fit everything on an IKEA Lindman's table. It overhangs a little bit, but it works. Throw in an extra docks, the Dragonstone Shrine, some extra water tiles, some sharks, and that would complete your layout. That wraps up this integration video. Hope you found some use out of it, some information that you needed, some inspiration for doing your own custom layout. I'll talk to you soon.